Welcome back, you fucking pieces of shit. Hey, welcome back. Today we're making one of my favorite foods of all time, which is poutine. It originates from Montreal, Quebec, which is Canada. It's one of like it's kind of like a national dish in Canada. Everybody eats it, but it is like most traditionally from Montreal. It is not vegetarian, but today I'm gonna try and make it vegetarian while kind of still honoring what it is to be a simple poutine. So we'll see if we can do it. Hopefully we can. That's it. Let's get started. So if you've never deep fried at home before, honestly, no matter what, you should have a thermometer because we need to do 2 different temperatures to do fries properly. So definitely like invest in a thermometer. I actually didn't have one, but I believe in having the perfect temperature for fries. So I actually went and bought one. It was $6. I think there's like a lot of debate on like which makes the best fry. I'm using russet potatoes. Kennebec potatoes work really well as well. I'm just gonna hand cut these. I cut one side off the exact thickness I want, so about that thick, and then it gives me a flat surface. So now this won't roll around, versus if I try and cut all down, it will roll and you'll get uneven cuts. So I'll cut this the same as that one, and so on and so forth. And they don't have to be perfect. And you can also do them if you like a thicker fry. Feel free to do a thicker fry. So they should just look like that. You know, just your average French fry. Okay, so these are all our fries. I cut them. Fucking obviously. What I like to do is, there is a lot of starch on potatoes. So I just find if you don't rinse them, like a lot of times, not a lot of times, but I'm sure people have seen this where you get fries from a restaurant and there's all these uneven dark spots. That's like starch that's unevenly frying. So what I like to do is rinse them quite well. Kind of like I'm rinsing rice, and I'll just use cold water and I'll rinse them about 3 or 4 times, and then I'll soak them for about 5 minutes as well. So I'm just gonna let these soak in cold water while we prep our gravy. So this part I did ahead of time because there was obviously a lot of knife stuff to do in this video. This is 1 whole onion and about 4 cloves of garlic. I really chopped it up quite fine because I want it to... I'm not gonna blend the sauce, I'm gonna leave it in the sauce, so chop it up finer so that your sauce isn't like huge pieces of onion and huge mushrooms. All I have in here is a little bit of canola oil and a little bit of butter. So just over medium heat. Season it right away with some salt. Just a bit. Let that start to sweat down. We can prep our mushrooms. Make a mushroom gravy, and I'm gonna keep it... Chunky's not the good word. What's the word? I'm gonna keep it kind of rustic. So I got just some cremini mushrooms. I mean, I'm probably not gonna use all these mushrooms, but yeah, I'm just gonna dice all these mushrooms, kind of the same as I did the onions. It's a little more work with the knife. To be honest, if you're doing this and you're totally okay with like sliced mushrooms in your sauce, you could definitely do that. When I'm doing things with, especially sauces with mushroom, I like to use a few different types because some of them are really mild in flavor, but they also, like almost all mushrooms, play really well off each other. So the more layers you get, the deeper the mushroom flavor is. So I got 2 shiitakes in there, 2 creminis, and then I have some of these black oyster mushrooms, which were relatively cheap. I mean, the regular oyster mushrooms work totally fine as well. With these oyster mushrooms or king oyster mushrooms, the ends can have a tendency to be a bit like spongy and not that pleasant. You can kind of see the color difference, like it'll get really white, and if you just feel it, you can like literally squeeze out water and it's spongy, versus this is like firm and will break apart. So I'll just trim the bottoms of those. Okay, so there we go. Our mushrooms are prepped, and our onions have been cooking during that time, and they're just softened up, starting to get translucent. You can smell them, you can smell the garlic. So right about now, we're gonna go in with our mushrooms. And then we'll also hit that with a bit of salt as well. I think I've talked about this before. With mushrooms, you kind of have to be selective about when you salt. You kind of have to know the application of what you're doing. So because I'm making a sauce, it's totally okay to season the mushrooms right away. Those mushrooms hold on to so much water, and you could even see that by me squeezing that oyster mushroom, how much water was in there. So putting salt in draws all the moisture out, which is not great if you're trying to do a quick sauteed mushroom. But because we want all that water gone, we can salt them now, and then when we add liquid, the mushrooms will take on the liquid, which happens to be mushroom stock, so they'll be deeper mushroom flavor. Let those cook for about 4 or 5 minutes. We'll check up on them then. Okay, so our mushrooms and everything have been cooking down for about 5 minutes, and I haven't picked up any color. They're just like let out all their juice. All that mushroom water is reduced. It's gone. So now I'm just gonna I'm just gonna build a roux in the pot just to save on dishes. You can cook a roux in a pan separate, and then like you have whatever, a cup of cooked roux, and people will add it to their sauce when it's done, just so they can control the thickness. I can trust myself when I'm gonna do the guessing game. So a roux is equal parts butter, well, fat, but today we're gonna use butter because I think it tastes the best. They say equal parts, but I actually think that equal parts is a bit too thick for me. So I did about maybe 2 tablespoons of butter or 3 tablespoons of butter, and maybe I'll do 2 tablespoons of flour. The reason you kind of do this is, I mean, obviously the butter adds some flavor, but also flour. If you pour flour into a sauce and you may be able to whisk it and get the lumps out, but raw flour has this like taste that will take over your sauce. So by cooking out the flour, you'll actually like lose that raw flour taste. So now if you do it this way, this was gonna be the scary part because this is the part that can lump pretty easily. But yeah, we're gonna see if I can do it. I think I can do it. So this is sherry. This is just a cooking sherry. Honestly, like just from the grocery store, nothing nice about it. I just like sherry and mushrooms, but feel free to use any wine, really. You could use a white wine or a red wine in this. I'm gonna switch to the whisk for this. And when you're adding to your roux liquid, you just wanna add it slowly and try and get it as smooth as possible. Only gonna maybe use half a cup. Most of the liquid's gonna be mushroom stock. So now I'm gonna go on with my mushroom stock. I'm just using store-bought today. It's the weekend, I didn't feel like making stock, you know? I'm gonna add it slowly, just to ensure that I am able to blend this flour. Okay. So let that come up to temp and see how thick it is. While our sauce is doing its thing, I'm gonna blanch these fries. You have to cook fries 2 times. You don't have to, but I mean, if you want a good fry that's gonna hold its crispness, especially for something like poutine, when you're putting like a sauce on it, you have like pretty high probability for those fries to go soggy if you don't get them as crisp as possible. So that's why I went with this cut size, just because the smaller you do it, the more crisp it gets. If you have those like big steak fries, they'll be like nice and quite pillowy inside, but maybe not the greatest for poutine. Neutral oil, canola, peanut, sunflower oil. If you want to know more about the smoke points of oils, I have a video explaining all that called Pantry Essentials, so I'll link that right here if you need to learn a little bit more about that. Just canola oil. I have it at about 310. Like the safe way to do it would be slowly lower it in and do it batch by batch. And this is we're doing this to fully cook the fries, but we don't want them, this isn't the crispy part. If you're frying in a pot at home, you need to be, obviously you for sure need to be super careful. So that's why I'm using a thermometer, but also what you need to be careful of is your level of your oil. You don't want to put your oil almost at the top and then add a bunch of stuff in it, because it will bubble and it will go over. I only put mine about halfway up on the oil. Just fry in smaller batches. I'm okay with that just because it's safer. Blanched fries out. So these are soft, they're cooked all the way through. They're not crisp, but they're ready for that second crispy fry. I fucked up today. Like I should have had paper towel, but I don't know. It was haywire. I had to buy a thermometer and I just forgot. So ideally, I would say, yeah, put this on paper towel to soak off some of that excess grease. Put your finger in there. Get to the bottom. Oh, let's just say it feels familiar. Looks like these little pussy ass bitch ass fries are done. Yeah, ideally you have paper towel. And, you know, try not to break too many of them, as I fucking break 30. Let them cool. What I'm actually gonna do, because I like them to be cold when they go in for that second fry so that they get really crisp, is I'm just gonna pop these in the freezer while I wait for this to come up to temp. Now, obviously, if you're doing it ahead of time, if you're doing the first cook ahead of time, fridge is totally fine. We're just filming a video, you know, I'm trying to go quick. So you wanna turn your heat up now. I'm looking for about the 365 range. And you're going to lose some temperature because those are hopefully gonna be cold when we put them in. So if you're aiming for 365, honestly, I would aim for like 385, 390 when you put cold fries in, and then it should go down to about 365. Just dropped my fries. The oil got up to temperature, so I just dropped them. I'm gonna fry them about 2-3 minutes. And then our gravy is done. I'm gonna switch the heat off. It's the thickness I like, and I did taste it already. And it tastes great. It tastes really rich. It actually has like a bit of sweetness to it, which is nice. And then I'm just gonna, just to balance that sweetness and richness, I'm just gonna put like a teaspoon of vinegar in there. Teaspoon or so of vinegar in there. And it's seasoned like kind of perfect for salt for me, so I'm not gonna add any salt. If you do find that yours needs salt, I mean, obviously feel free. What you definitely need with fries is just a dry bowl. I like stainless, but you can use a glass bowl if need be. You just need something that you can toss it in some salt. So when we take them out, we're just gonna let that oil drain off as best as we can. We're gonna get them in here. We're gonna salt it right away. When you take it out of the fryer, it still has a little bit of oil residue on it, and that oil acts as a glue. So if you wait too long to hit it with salt, you'll find that the salt will all fall off the fries. You'll look at your bowl after and all the salt will be in the bowl and not on your fries. So you need to kind of work a little bit quickly. I'm a bit of a purist with fries, so I just like salt. Give them a good toss, that coated. Okay, we're ready to plate. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of layer this. I think a lot of times when you get poutine, they put everything on top, which is nice, but I kind of want it to be layered as you eat it. Put a few squeaky cheese curds down. And I'll layer some of our gravy. And then I'll just do some more fries. And some more curds. It's really all foaming up. And then just for a little garnish to freshen it up, and because I like how savory chives are, I'm gonna hit it with a whole bunch of chives. And see if it tastes like poutine. Super good. The fries are like crispy. They're like managing to stay crispy even with the gravy on them. Seasoned really well. I like the flaky sea salt. I get little bits of salt as I eat it. Cheese curds are obviously great. I love cheese curds. The gravy's like so nice. It's like, I don't know, it's like complex tasting, if that makes any sense. It's not just like this brown sauce that just tastes brown and rich. It's got like, you don't really pick up on the vinegar, but you know that it's there, and it balances it all really nice. And then the chives are just like super refreshing. I think it all tastes great. It tastes like a poutine, but it tastes a little bit more refined, which is kind of what I was trying to do. So this is not disrespectful to my French Canadian homies. So yeah, that's it for the video today. Poutine, one of my favorite things ever. Big thanks to my guest filmer today, Kimberly. We've been trying to give Brennan a break. Brennan's like been doing this with me for like almost a year. And shout out to you, Brennan, for letting us use the camera as well. He just comes and does this out of the goodness of his heart. I mean, obviously I feed him, but you know, I appreciate him. I know you're watching, Brennan, so thank you for everything that you do. That's it. If you guys could do any of the YouTube stuff, obviously appreciate that. Leave a like, leave a comment, even if the comment is semicolon, bracket, smiley face, whatever, I don't care. It just helps the algorithm. So yeah, if you could do any of that stuff, I really appreciate it. If not, either way, I will see you in the next one. What size are you?
8.
If you're a queen with size 8 feet, let me know in the comments.